So first one, a nice way to break it down is whether we're trying to optimize an athlete's work in the gym, which is all revolved around their weekly routine. So they're in the best possible shape they can be to perform at a high level on the weekend. Or are we looking to maximize where perhaps we're spending a bit more time on prioritizing their physical output in the week to ensure that they're going to be in a good spot in a couple of years' time or maybe later in the year. So you know that you're putting in a bit more work, even if there's some risks to that, i.e. high risk of injury or risk to having a bit more fatigue in the system on game day, but you're doing that for the reason that you feel that athlete needs to still grow and develop, whether it be faster, stronger, put on more size, or be more explosive. So you're putting in the work, you're stressing the system to maximize their athletic potential in season and ultimately doing that so it pays dividends later on. Some common mindsets with strength and conditioning and high performance. So, and it's probably getting less common, but the idea of trying to reduce or maintain, so reduce the loss of fitness and reduce the loss of strength and power and speed across the season and maintain as best as possible. You're just doing the minimal amount with 2 football sessions a week, maybe 1 to 2 gym sessions a week to maintain and reduce the reduction of strength and power across the season. So that's that maintenance / minimal amount. And it's very safe and it can get very good results, particularly with older training squads that have got years on their side. Then you've got the other end for those that may be on the bottom of the ladder looking to accelerate their development as a squad. Perhaps they're younger. So clubs at the moment that you think of would be Richmond Football Club, West Coast Eagles, SM Football Club. These clubs are younger, they're pushing and they're looking to accelerate their growth. St Kilda would be another one. Whereas the maintenance minimal programs, you'd be thinking of things like Geelong, Collingwood Football Club. Now, that's not saying that they're not trying to push and grow those programs. Signs that athletes are overreaching in season compared to signs when they're thriving. So signs that you're overreaching, subjective is a great way for those programs that don't have access to any like screening data or GPS data or anything that's objective. Just simply ask the athlete how they're feeling on a weekly basis, get a read for their energy. Is their persona changing when they're coming into the club? What's their motivation like? So speaking to the coaches, is their form dipping? These are all areas that we can see that perhaps the maximal program that we're putting into place, do they need a bit of a deload or are we doing too much? Aspects that on the flip side, where athletes are really thriving from the program. So energy is a great indicator. They're hitting some PBs with either their max velocity or personal best performances on the weekend with their football form. And just generally speaking, they're feeling really good. So the subjective side is key there. Strategies to test and monitor effectiveness of the program. I've already discussed some of these, but you want to standardize your testing. So if you are looking at max strength and you do a box squat, for example, make sure the box squat is of the same height that you tested on last time. If you're going to use velocity-based training, make sure the setup is exactly the same. It's the same piece of equipment and make sure that the testing apparatus is reliable and has been serviced recently. And that's a good way to increase just the numbers. Obviously, look how the athlete's moving. So coach the movement, have an idea of obviously the weight that they're lifting and also how fast they're moving the bar. So they may maintain their total weight at the same range of motion, the same box height, perhaps they moved it quicker. So it's just another piece of information that you can have if you do have access to gymwear or velocity-based training. And obviously that's a stronger athlete if they can move the same weight, but they're moving it faster. How does recovery change for the Optimise group compared to Maximise? So for the Optimise group, at times, especially short turnaround, 6-day breaks, we're going to reduce the total time that they're at the club. So that's where we might, rather than lifting in mids, forwards and backs, we might get the whole squad straight after the field session. 30 minutes after the field session, main training is done. They're going in the gym. We know that the tonnage is going to be down from Dean Ritchie's research. So we know that we're sacrificing for those that perhaps need to put on muscle mass. That's not the best plan. But for those that are looking to optimize, they're going to get home a bit earlier, which mentally, from a cognitive point of view, they're going to feel fresher going into the game. Conversely, with the Maximise group, we can go to the extreme at times where you actually pull them out of games for 6 weeks. And I've done this before with a young ruckman, and he did like a mini preseason with me. I would go from 2 strength sessions a week to 4. He was able to get extra 2 run sessions a week, put on 4 kilos of lean muscle mass and improve his both strength fitness and speed and ultimately confidence. So when going back to playing, he was stronger and able to play his position at a high level, but also it set him up for the future because he's built up that volume